All right, guys, as well as my work with adults, I've also done a lot of work with teenagers in schools over the last few years, and met many great students that are probably going to go on to do wonderful things in their lives. And also have exposed the online social media issue quite a lot. I really feel for teenagers and parents, really, because this, monitoring this and, you know, restricting this is almost fucking impossible. And it's an epidemic. I think that there's no coincidence that there's a rise in self-harm, there's a rise in suicide, and this is because we're losing the ability to make lasting, deep, meaningful relationships. A lot of the friendships that teenagers that I have worked with have said that a lot of their friendships are shallow, that they don't feel that they've got much support from people, even though they've got a group with 15 or so friends going on Snapchat or WhatsApp or whatever. The whole being followed and, putting a photo up and whether it's got a load of likes or not, and why did someone like that one and they didn't like this one, and why is it that my friend put up the same picture as me and she's got 20 likes and I've only got 5, does nobody like me anymore? I've met students that basically say that on Snapchat they'll have a streak, and this streak is supposed to show how much of a good friend they are because they've kept that streak going for 300 days, which means they've spoke to each other for 300 days in a row. But I've met people that have said that they use, when they go on holiday or something, they'll give their login details to their friend so their friend can keep their streaks going for them. I mean, this is a huge issue at the moment. I think that coupled with the fact that we've now got the mental health has become huge. So I have teenagers that will come to me and say, I've got these mental health issues. No, you haven't, mate. You've had a bad couple of weeks, you've fallen out with some friends and you feel like shit. That's not a mental health issue, that's life. That's giving you a bit of a bad time. You're not depressed, you've had a bit of a shitty time of it, you haven't worked out what to do with it, you haven't found a solution to the problem, so you're beating yourself up. Or you've had a group chat where you've been booted out of it for whatever reason and not added back in, or someone said something about you and you're hurt. You haven't got a mental health issue. A mental health issue is when you've had the same condition or the same problem for months and you're displaying a certain amount. If you're going to look at this, because I know a lot of people do their online research, go on and Google the DSM-5, which is the statistical manual that psychiatrists and people in the mental health field would use in order to help with a diagnosis. Now, you would have to have a certain amount of things on that list for a number of months to have a mental health condition, all right? You haven't got a mental health condition if you've had a shitty situation come up because of some social media problem, Now, also the subconscious message that social media is sending, because we're addicted to our phones. I mean, there's a lot of research has been done. I know there's a guy, Simon Sinek, who does some great videos on this sort of thing about millennials, and check them out because they're really good. Talking about the fact that you've got each time you get a message or a like or something like that, it releases dopamine, which is the same chemical that's released when you gamble, when you drink, when you smoke, those types of things. He's done a whole video about that, so I don't really need to go into that. Go and check that out. But nonetheless, my work with teenagers has kind of backed this up to the point where you're searching for that high. It's Now, obviously, I'm old enough to remember not having mobile phones, and I remember I'd go out of the house, and if I forgot my watch, I'd feel a bit naked, almost like something's really missing. Whereas now, I will get that same feeling if I leave my phone at home. It's almost like, oh my God, shit, I've left my phone at home, that is terrible. And that's a real problem, I'm carrying the world in my pocket, and so are you. And there's no restriction on it. And it's a real problem, it really is a problem. And if you want to feel better, if you're a teenager watching this and you want to feel better, cut down the amount of time that you're using your phone, all right? Try it when you go out for dinner with some friends, don't have your phone on the table, because that's basically saying to your friends, well, you're important, but so is that, all right? I'm waiting for something. And what are you waiting for? You're with your friends, be in the now, enjoy that moment and leave your phone in your pocket, leave it in your bag, leave it at home, learn to get through the uncomfortable feeling of not feeding the addiction, which is to look and, take a photo, of everything that's going on. Post every 5 minutes up onto Facebook. Your friends chatting to you, hang on a minute, hang on, I'm just uploading this picture that I've just taken of us. Big smiles when actually we're feeling like shit underneath. All these things are massive things that I come into contact with on a daily basis working with teenagers, but it affects adults as well. Going back to that Simon Sinek video, he was talking about corporations that have the same problem where there's like a board of governors having a meeting or something and they've all got their phones on the table, you know. So these things aren't essential to everyday life, but the more that these big organisations are putting this stuff out there, the more they are becoming that way, you know. Industry is starting to fall. And technology is on the rise, so a lot of people are going to be working in the online field. I mean, I'm saying this and I'm doing online videos to try and help people because I know that sometimes, all right, haven't had many views so far, but some people are finding them useful. I've had a few messages where people are finding them useful. And I find this just brought something up for me because I'm doing these videos as a non-profit way. I don't want to make money out of these. They're to help people who genuinely are too scared to find a therapist, can't find one, can't afford one, waiting on the NHS, any of those things. That's why I'm doing these videos. I genuinely want to use the experience that I've gained working with people to help other people. And yeah, I get people on Instagram, Twitter, messaging me going, you know, oh look, I see you're doing videos on YouTube. Your videos are amazing. I want to help you get them out there for $29.99. And I think, fuck off. Like, if you actually looked at what I'm doing a non-profit thing. Why am I going to pay you 30 quid to spread something that's a non-profit thing? Have you even looked at what I'm doing, you know? And these types of things are very real because if you're in a bad place, they can make you devalued. You feel devalued because you sort of think, well, you know, does this person even care enough to actually look at what it is that I'm doing? Now, don't get me wrong, like I'm fine with it, apart from the fact that it's annoying. So yeah, I mean, seriously, if you feel that your relationships are shallow, they've got no depth to them, you don't know who you would go to for support, it's no wonder that suicide and things like that are on the rise, is it? Because we're not having deep, meaningful, one-to-one conversations and real relationships with people. They're all made up online. And then you see each other in school, you know, like, why not try, like, get home from school, do your bits and bobs that you got to do, switch your phone off at 7, try it and see how you feel. I bet you feel like shit because you want that addiction. And that tells you that you've got an addiction. That tells you there's a problem. There is a problem if you can't do that. It would be the same as if you can't resist turning your PlayStation on, or it would be the same as if you can't resist going to the pub, or it would be the same as if you can't resist going to the bookies. Right? All these things are very, very similar. Okay, they all release the same type of drug in your or chemical in your brain that is a numbing chemical. It is something that it's a good feeling, which is why you do it and why you keep searching for it. So really, this online social media, all the connectivity that we have with each other, rather than making it better for society and better for communities, it's actually making things worse. We are getting worse. We are having less meaningful friendships. We are having less meaningful relationships. We are spending less time with each other, even when we go out. Now, we need to see that. This shit needs to be regulated. I don't know how anyone's going to do it because it's too profitable and it's very, very difficult to do, but it needs to be monitored and regulated somehow. Now, parents, their answer is to take the devices away from the kids, which doesn't help because then the kid feels isolated and feels left out. This has got to be done organically. This needs to be done at primary school, I think. You know, get to these children when they're 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know, start putting it in their heads then that this is not a good thing. You know, the same as you would with alcohol, the same as you would. You make them aware of the dangers. You make them aware of what's going on and make them wise enough to make informed choices. And understand that if you want deep, meaningful relationships, you have to do that face to face. You're not going to create it online. You know, I've had so many students that I see it over the years that have said to me that, well, yeah, I've got these amazing friends and they're in fucking America or Portugal. And all they're just friends that they talk to online. I said in another video, like, how about I went on some of these Facebook groups, you know, and you'll see people and they'll be like, oh, yeah, you've done me so much help. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Without you, I wouldn't have got through the day. And then the next day, they're doing that with somebody else. And they're not finding an answer to their problem at all. All they're doing is making it worse by hanging off different people all the time, trying to feel better and not finding any solutions and not finding a long-term achievement that they can then call their own. And that's another problem that comes from social media because everything is immediate. It's so difficult for us to now create long-term goals that we can achieve because everything seems to be fucking there, right there and then for us. You know, how many times have you felt bad and then thought, right, okay, I'm going to text a couple of my mates and see if they want to do something at the weekend. You might not actually want to do something with them, but the fact that they text you back and say, yeah, I'm well up for that, you feel better then. It's an immediate hit. It's an immediate thing to make you feel better. But what we're not looking at is why do we feel like shit because of certain things happening? What's missing in me? Where am I going wrong? What do I need to do to improve my relationship with myself? What do I need to do to improve my relationship with other people? Because it's all in bloody front of you. And then a further problem happens because behind a keyboard you get your, what used to be called keyboard warriors. When I used to play like World of Warcraft years ago, they were keyboard warriors who would come online and they would be like all brave in front of a keyboard because in their own life they have no control or power over anything whatsoever. So they exercise that online. And you're going to find that with your friends. I've spoken to students that have said their friends have been giving it the big one on like WhatsApp or Snapchat or whatever. And then when they come into school the next day and say, what was that you were saying? They're like, oh, I didn't mean it. No. And then so even though you're at home, you're nowhere near your friends, online bullying is still occurring. How is that allowed? How is that useful? So I would say, honestly, if you're a student watching this or a teenager watching this or even an adult who feels like they don't spend enough time with their spouse because they're on their fucking phone all the time, right? Just think about what you're doing. Why has that thing got to be attached to your hand all the time? Yes, it connects you to the world around you, but do you really need to be connected to the world around you as much as you are? Or would you rather be sitting there taking in the world around you rather than be connected to it in a cyberspace manner? See what's going on around you, be inspired by your surroundings. Look at things, take life in, enjoy what you're doing, because looking at a screen on your phone, all you're looking at is words. That's it, or pictures. You can actually be experiencing the world around you. I've seen people. I was in McDonald's the other day. There was about a group of about 4 or 5 girls, all standing there on their phones. The guy was going, "Can I help anyone?" And they're all standing there because they're fucking chatting to someone else who's not even with them. And, it's a problem. It really is a problem. And I think that teenagers have got such a responsibility to understand that this is a problem and try and start doing something about it. So I would suggest, I understand it's difficult because one person doing it, that person's then going to feel isolated. But you get a couple of people, if you're watching this video and you're thinking, actually, yeah, I haven't got many like good friends. They're all sort of superficial. Get a couple of people that you feel, that you would like to have a deeper friendship with, watch this with them. Or show them that Simon Sinek video, or whatever, yeah? But at the end of the day, you might need to do this with someone else and say, okay, let's try that. Let's not go on our phones from 7 p.m. until the next morning. Let's not go on our phones at all. Let's not get involved in any group chats, right? But let's go out somewhere. Let's go out somewhere together without our phones, right? Or let's go around to each other's houses or something like that. But we're not allowed to use our phones at all. We're just going to sit and chill. We're going to do our own thing. We're going to get out and about and we're going to do it on our own, because like anything, it needs to be done in moderation. There's nothing wrong necessarily with like being on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, because it's nice to share photos and you might have done something really good that day or seen a lovely thing and taken a photo of it, and that's great. But the problem comes when you do it all the time. It's too much and it becomes consuming, to the point where I work with students that are using their phones under the desk talking to their mates in class while the teacher's doing something like that's probably quite important for your GCSEs, So, and also I would say that try and remember with anything, going back to the mental health thing, try and remember that in order for you to feel that say that you've got a mental health condition, right, you don't have to have had 2 weeks of shit, right? You need to have had 6 months with a certain number of signs that are constantly there, Please remember that, because the online stigma around mental health is terrible. And people are saying that they've got these conditions. No, they haven't. They're just having a shit time of it. That's all. And they need to be supported, but they don't have the support. So then they go online and find out, oh, I've got a mental health. Oh, look at this YouTuber who's talking about self-harm. That's me. That's exactly what I've got. Yeah, you go, girl. Like. And that's what it's like. And then before you know it, you're indoctrinating yourself with some shit that you're watching because YouTube's not monitored properly either. So really the responsibility is huge that's on your shoulders, because at the end of the day, this is an epidemic that needs to be changed. And I think that if you feel like shit, try this out and see whether or not it helps you, because honestly, if you don't, then later on in life you may not have many deep friendships, because they've all been based around social media and the immediacy of the online world that you're existing in, while you're missing your actual life, right? And if you're an adult and you're feeling the same thing, put your phone down, go and give your missus a cuddle or your husband a cuddle, go and give them a kiss, say let's go out and let's leave the phones at home, and just see like how hard that is, and that tells you how big the problem is. Right, see ya.